Well, I also think tanking is like a really bad thing. If you
so
look at
hard,
a lot of elite teams, they don't tank. Like Spurs never tank.
But
Celtics never
tank.
tank.
I mean, it worked for the
if
Sixers.
it's in the league, if
it
it's
hasn't
in
worked. They
the
haven't won
rules
yet.
If it's in the rules, I believe it because I feel like now we see how fast an NBA franchise can change pace, and I feel like with this NBA, like anything could really happen, and until they take it out. But what if they also take out the lottery?
Okay, Tony, let me ask you this: which teams have tanked and won a chip?
Okay. A lot of it's work in progress though. The Warriors built off draft picks.
Yeah, but they weren't tanking. They
were awful. They got the picks because they're awful.
Steph was like a 9, dude. Draymond was like a second round pick. Steph was like the 9th pick in the draft. It's not like Steph was the first.
But you don't have to get like number 1 pick tanking.
I
feel like down the road, like these, like the Kings, like all the number 1 picks, like they might not have went around the right way with it. And I feel like the Cavs, like they're impatient franchises. But the thing about tanking is, bro, you got to take like 2 or 3 years. You're not going to win for 2 or 3 years, and you got to understand that. But
I think these franchises that tank are incompetent. So even if you are tanking, you get a generational talent. You won't know what to do with them because you're an incompetent organization. Like,
but if you look at the margins, people are still going to buy games to your team.
Yeah,
I mean, still.
But you're not developing the winning culture, which is like again my overall.
You
point.
Try to make a winning culture and you lose the playoff picture by like 3 games and you don't get anything. I mean, it's the same thing as getting a top 5.
When did the Rockets ever?
The Rockets are the most mediocre team.
That's one thing I would
disagree. The Rockets in this decade have like the 3rd most wins.
No,
we're like behind the Warriors
for a long time. When we had
early 2000s,
Kevin Martin and them. No, they were the 9 seed.
At least
like
the last 5 years, the Rockets are at least top 3 in wins.
But we're saying that didn't happen because of tanking. Like they never tanked. They were always like a 10, 9, 8 seed for years, for like 4 years with Rick Adelman as the coach and marginal talent. And we showed players we're serious about winning. We developed a winning culture.
The Nets tanked.
What are you talking about? The Nets tanked
2 years ago. The Nets definitely tanked.
The Nets gave up all their draft picks. They haven't drafted anybody in years.
Well, the Nets tanked because they didn't have anybody. They went all in and lost, and they reformed their team and tanked and purposely lost games. And now they're making things with their.
Why would you purposely lose games if you don't have any draft picks? What incentive is that?
They still drafted players. What do you mean?
Jared Allen is the only player they've drafted in years. Like they literally didn't have a pick for like 4 years.
But I'm saying you don't have to tank because of picks. Like you could tank in other facets. Like they tanked and got 2 max spots. Like you could tank in other things. You don't have to do it.
What do you mean they got 2 max spots? What are you talking about?
The way they set up their franchise and the way they ran up their franchise for 2 years set them up with 2 or 3 max spots.
No, it's because they didn't tank that they got those 2 players. That's why they get those 2 players. The tanking teams, when have they ever got good players? Never.
So signing young players with really cheap contracts doesn't let you sign big players.
I mean, they didn't tank last. I mean, they made.
But if you look at their team, they're all young guys. They invested in young,
but they didn't tank.
But they invested in young, cheap guys and lost for 2 years. And now these young, cheap guys are now better players because of it. And now they have more money because these contracts are cheaper. Look at Dinwiddie's contract. Look at all the Nets contracts.
Yeah, but you're misrepresenting tanking. They got these players because they're good young players.
Tanking intentionally losing to get higher draft picks.
When you're trying to lose, bro. They didn't sign Dinwiddie to lose and D'Lo to lose. They signed them to win. And that's what developed the culture that KD and Kyrie were like, this team is serious about winning. They're developing a good culture. I want to go there. They don't want to go to the Knicks where everyone's tanking all the time and like they don't have a good culture. No one wants to go to the Kings where they tank and have a bad culture. No one wants to go to the Suns. Like those are the teams that get the good players.
Lakers, the Rockets literally... I put in our group chat, the Lakers are purposely going to miss the playoffs and tank at All-Star break. And they got the number 4 pick and then traded that for AD. I think there's evidence that tanking does help your team out. And even if you look at the Lakers, after you draft LeBron, who would be like, oh, y'all are going to purposely lose and then get a top 5 pick and turn this into Anthony Davis. Nobody saw that coming. People are like, no, the Lakers are must win right now. And that's not what they did. They went a different route. Instead of being the 8th seed,
They were the 9 seed. What? That's not.
No,
tanking.
that's something the NBA did.
They
that was positive.
Lost.
They changed the algorithm of the draft, and we
Yeah,
saw
no,
like,
that was
one good thing that I really
Tony,
liked.
they didn't tank, dude. You can't be a 9 seed and be the tank.
They wouldn't have had that. They wouldn't have had the same outcome if they would have made the playoffs.
No, the NBA,
yeah, obviously.
And they purposely lost games to do this.
I don't think they purposely lost games. They were the 9 seed. If they wanted to tank for real, they would have been like the 10, the 11.
I think they lost.
I think this is deeper than it is because Mark Cuban was also accused for literally saying he tanked. Like, he literally has been on record saying he tanked.
Yeah, and I think he's wrong.
Teams are going to realize that tanking's not the move anymore with the new algorithm. A lot of the teams that got the top picks were not predicted.
No, but then if you make it without, like, the worst team doesn't get these picks and... What, you're going to have the championship team getting, like, the number 3 pick just off the odds?
It's the lottery base.
I'm just saying, off the odds.
It's more random now.
It's the lottery base.
But it should be the worst teams. Like, that's how it should always be. That's how
you're
it just
incentivizing
works.
Losing. You're incentivizing...
Also, you're sending these best players to the worst teams. You're kind of like...
But you also have the youngest players, the worst teams that have the most need. You also have the youngest players going these teams and playing the most for these teams and developing and getting the most out of these teams.
No,
like people would rather some rookies would rather go to a worse team and develop more on that worse team. You don't develop more on a worse team. Yeah, you do.
You don't have the player development coaches.
So Colin Sexton and Darius Garland are not developing more than.
What have they done?
I'm sure they don't want to be. They didn't want to be.
They're not developing more starting together.
You don't think Jason Tatum developed well on the Celtics?
So the Hawks aren't developing, like. You know, all those players aren't developing. Like, Cameron Reddish isn't developing, even though they're losing games.
I mean, they're developing, but I'm saying that they're going to go to a worse team. Jason Tatum,
if they would have played on a playoff team, they wouldn't even been playing. Garland wouldn't even touch. Like, Garland and Sexton wouldn't be touching the play.
Point, huh? Negate the Jason Tatum point, huh? Jason Tatum, did he develop?
Yes.
Did
they have anyone start over him?
If you're a top 3 pick, you're going to be like a star player. They're drafting you to play.
That was also a caveat because the Celtics had picks. Like, they didn't get that because they were bad the season before.
I mean, but he was going off your point that they best players don't want to play on good teams.
You're looking like at the worst teams.
Like good.
What? So why did Josh Jackson not work out for that for the Celtics? What happened there?
I don't know.
Why didn't he want to go to the Celtics?
There's personal reasons with everything.
No, he wanted to go to Suns so he gets a bigger contract and plays more games and develop more.
That's
exactly what he did.
How's that worked out for him?
He got paid.
He's an irrelevant name right now.
He got paid. I mean, like...
He's very irrelevant right now.
I'm just saying, people see a lot more opportunity in going to a worse team and playing these crazy... Look at Trae Young. Trae Young would not be in the same spot he would be in right now if he was backup point guard.
Yeah, dude, you're not the backup. You're still a top 3 pick, top 5 pick. You're not gonna be a backup.
But if you're drafting, if you're getting drafted
to
a good team, you might not be starting every single game.
Drafted to a lottery team.
But the reason Trae Young is doing good because he's on the Hawks. They give the ball to him every single time, and he's their guy. If he wasn't their guy, he wouldn't be doing the same.
Okay, he would have 2 less points, like 12 more wins.
Like, I think a lot less than 2 points.
That's going off my point. That's the toxic culture, bro. I'm trying to win, bro. I'm sure
that's just how teams have to be bad. Like, teams have to be losing games. That's
but that doesn't mean you have to try to lose games, dude. That doesn't mean you have to try to lose the game.
It's just how the NBA goes. You're on a worse team, you prove yourself. Your next contract, you go to a better team. You get players. You try to build a culture. Like, if you're on a worse team and you're balling out, like Anthony Davis on Pelicans,
just by lose up.
Yeah, that hasn't happened though. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, give me an example. Like, the Sixers are maybe the only example in NBA history where like they tanked. Like, for years, and they haven't even won a chip yet.
2-3 years, and they stacked their picks.
They tanked for like 4
years. It was a while.
They were really bad for 2-3 years, but like other than that, like
what happened to the Bobcats? They tanked for years. What happened to the
Kings?
Even
get dude, those are dysfunctional sports organizations.
I mean, those are the teams that tank. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Like the Knicks.
The Knicks are tanking. The Knicks will never. They can have the top 5.
Okay, take that back. The Knicks are not the same sports organization as the Sacramento Kings.
They're worse.
They're both bad.
No, the Kings have never. Kings are one of the worst.
The Knicks have not been good in the last 2 decades.
Yeah, nah.
They haven't, but they're the Knicks, dude. You got to understand the market.
I mean, I don't think NBA stars care about that anymore.
No, I mean, no one.
So why'd Fizdale get fired?
Because they're not before.
I mean, I don't know the point you're really trying to make.
I mean, I'm just asking why Fizzo get fired?
They're trying to save face.
Because they're trying to save face. Yeah, they thought they could be better than they were.
So they're not tanking?
They wanted to win. Their management said they wanted to win.
And even if they are tanking, what has that accomplished for them? They've been irrelevant for years.
They're going to get a great pick.
Dude, and they just got RJ Barrett.
They got the third pick in the draft.
But you don't have to win. You're obviously not going to win. My thing is, it's not that big of a deal if you don't get a... Dude, those teams are never going to beat any of the guys. They're going to lose in 4 games in the playoffs. I'm just saying there's more value.
We agree with that. But even if the Knicks play their hardest and try to win every game, they're not going to be a playoff team.
They'd win more games than they did now.
But
I promise that if they weren't tanking, they'd win more games than they do now just off sheer trying.
No NBA stars are going to want to go to the Knicks if they have this toxic culture, their owner, and everything that goes with
obviously they have no choice right now, so they're losing games and they're tanking. Because that's smart. That's what you do.
But they've been doing that for years, and
if you're the New York Knicks, you should not be
struck down a free agency. Nobody wants to go.
But
they had the cap space and they didn't sign the guys.
Your argument is that
their thing worked. If they would have signed the guys, their whole thing worked.
But it didn't work because they're I'm telling you, no one wants to go to that team because of that culture of tanking.
They've had no success in the last 2 decades.
Yeah,
that's why nobody wants to go there.
And the Nets have. The Nets have this exuberating success.
They made the playoffs last year
for the first time in
and then made
since they made Brooklyn.
Tony, you're making our point,
but you're acting like that's so much better than what the Knicks are doing. If they would have went to the Knicks, then the Nets would have been irrelevant. If KD and
Kyrie Irving didn't, they went to the team that has a more winning culture and is more serious about winning.
I can't control that. I'm saying if they would have just chose a different contract,
control it. That's what
if they chose a different contract, then they would have chose the tanking team. But his motivations for choosing Brooklyn and Kyrie's motivations for choosing Brooklyn is not under my control. But the way they set up their franchise and the way they tanked, they appropriately set up themselves for 2 max contracts. And they didn't pull it off.
That's not that. The Knicks had
Tony. That's a terrible argument, dude.
They were so close to doing something really big, and they struck out and they messed up. But that's just showing that if you do tank right and do everything right, it can work.
Tony, you're literally proving my point. Both teams, one team tries to win, right, and it clears the way. Let me finish. One team tries to win, makes the playoffs, doesn't have a top pick. They get 2, and they're smart. They're a good franchise. They have 2 open spots for max players.
And they get young players. The Suns have been historically tanking.
Let me finish my point. The Knicks do the same. The Knicks start losing, purposely trying to lose. They open 2 max players. Both teams, one tanking, one not tanking. They pick the team that's not tanking. That proves my point. That players, you're going to want to go to the teams that aren't tanking and have a serious coach. To win.
The Nets don't have a serious culture.
They made the playoffs
once
because they were trying to win. They could have tanked and been terrible.
Bro, being a 7 seed in the playoffs doesn't mean anything, especially for that conference, bro.
It did for KD and Kyrie.
I guess. Okay, I'm gonna go to Pistons now because the Pistons got a serious culture, bro. They're really about it.
I mean, I think you're more likely to go.
I'm going to the Magic. No, I'm going to the Magic.
More likely
they might make
the
8 seed.
More likely.
So I'd rather play in. Honestly, I'd rather play in New York's. I'd rather not play in New York's market and not play in the 3rd biggest franchise in the world. I think I'm going to go to the Magic because they made the playoffs once.
I mean, that's part of the argument, but they picked Brooklyn over New York.
But I'm saying it's the Knicks' fault. They had it set up.
I mean, exactly.
Exactly. We agree. It's the Knicks' fault that they didn't get KD and Kyrie.
But the Nets don't have any type of culture, bro. They're a brand new team in a brand new stadium that hasn't proven anything.
They literally proved that they're going to try to win.
They had a dog mentality.
Bro, they won one playoff.
Tony.
Dude, won. That doesn't mean anything in the NBA,
Tony,
bro.
You not understanding this argument. We're not saying that you have to be a good team to get good players. We're saying you have to be serious about winning to get good players.
Look at the Clippers. We're not even talking about the Clippers.
Yeah, look at the Clippers. The 8th seed. They could have tanked and got the 1st overall pick if they wanted to. But no, they said we have a good culture. We're trying to win.
Bro, we're trying to win. What do you mean? They were better than a lot of teams.
They were the 8th seed.
They were better than a lot of teams. Look at their roster last year compared to a lot of teams. Look at their roster compared to the team that didn't lose.
And the Nets were the 7th seed, and you're saying they weren't good. And they were the 8th seed. And they proved we're trying to win. Guess what? They get Kawhi and they get Paul George, dude. All right. That was a good debate.
We definitely won that one, Keon.
Easily. Good job.
All right. Thanks, NBA GMs, for your accurate responses and your accurate NBA preseason predictions that have reflected your responses.
I think we were gonna go into another topic.
Say that the team that's been known for tanking is my pick to win or to go to the finals.
Oh, you don't have to be so salty. It's okay.
No, I'm being salty, dude, because you got to understand it's like a business. Like the way the league is made.
We just gave you 2 examples.
You have to find loopholes to like produce, and like that's just
we just gave you 2 examples of teams.
So like, how is it supposed to be? Is it just supposed to be a random lottery? You just pick?
No, the lottery is fine now. How it is, you incentivize team to win. It's not equal. You still give the worst teams a better chance, but it's more equal chance so that you're incentivizing winning. I'm not incentivizing teams to purposely lose so that their fans come to the games to a product that's not even trying to win, which is the reason the fans are going is to watch their team do well and win. Purposely do that, screw over the fans. The NBA is smart. They're realizing we're not trying to incentivize that. We're trying to incentivize good basketball. Everyone try to win. The best teams win. Bad teams still try to win. You're not good enough. You don't win. You get a good pick.